Welcome to Season 4 of the Rebel Podcast, a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Michael Dargy. Season 4 is going to be epic, with amazing guests from all over the world sharing their stories and advice on how to live a life less ordinary. You can support this show by signing up for a paid subscription on our website, therebelrebelpodcast.com, with every penny going towards sharing the remarkable and inspiring stories of our guests. Check out Rebel wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you're a rebel with a story to tell and you're interested in being on the show, just shoot me a note to the email address rebel@therebelrebelpodcast.com. Thanks so much and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Rebel. I'm Michael Dargy, and I'm sitting across from me at a socially safe distance is Paula Timm.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, thanks so much for coming down.
Yeah.
Paula, you do some really cool stuff, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but could you give, the listeners sort of a Reader's Digest condensed version of who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, I am an artist. I'm a creative. I'm a facilitator, and I'm a community builder. Nice. Yeah.
And I came out just this week, and I saw you in Forest Lawn.
That's right.
And you were designing this. You're bringing together the art on a sea can.
That's right.
Can you just sort of bring me up to speed, like how that happened and what it means to be an artist and a facilitator and a community builder? Because that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, the sea can project kind of sums that moniker up. And so my husband and I recently in last year moved to the Forest Lawn area. And part of the reason for that move was to get connected with an urban center. Yeah. With people of diversity, of mixed backgrounds, of all the things. Yeah. And then for me, of course, to plant myself there in an artist way. Right. So when I moved to that neighborhood, I reached out to the BRZ president, Allison McSweeney, and just said, hey, I live in your neighborhood now, and just saying hi. And so She phoned me up and she asked me all about me and told me all about her initiatives. She also has another collaboration. It's called the International Avenue Arts and Culture Center. Yeah. I'm going to take the center off because there isn't a place. Okay. But they do great things supporting local Forest Lawn artists. Gotcha. And beautifying their neighborhood. So she called me up and said that there was some public city funding for art initiatives because of COVID and just helping out artists and connecting them to the communities. So she said, pitch something and see what you can do with some money and some art for our neighborhood.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So it came to be that the Albert Park, Radisson Heights Community Association and Community Garden were doing some beautifying projects. And in their community garden, they got delivered a sea can. And so it was a rusty orange sea can.
Oh, and, I didn't know it was that color when I saw it.
Yes. Yeah. So it took some prep. Yeah. I hired one of my friend's companies and they came out and blasted it all out and synchronized the color with the community association building across the way. Yeah. And anyways, I pitched this idea to bring the community together to paint the sea can with a collaboration of marks to make a mural.
Interesting. Okay. So what's a collaboration of marks?
Right. So, so my theory is that we are better individuals. We are healthier mentally, physically, if we're expressing.
Right. Okay. I believe that.
Yes. Yeah. And so whatever your form of expression is, maybe it's writing or music or painting, but there's sort of a us and them with artists and those that create and those that don't create. And my idea is to bridge those belief systems because I think we're born of creativity.
Right on.
Right. So
preach
it. Yeah. Did you come for that? So because of that, I think these community sort of initiatives should allow the community to gather their creativity to experience what creativity feels like with no direction except for a paintbrush and some color.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and you say mark. So people aren't like doing huge murals. They're collaborating using small things to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the brave thing is holding space for this crazy mixture of individuals with talent or no talent or experience to just approach the substrate, the canvas, the mural space, wherever it is, and approach it and make a mark. And it truly is my suggestion that you are responding to a paintbrush, size, shape, and a color, and just approach the subject matter of who you are and just place that mark. So some of the first people that made a mark on this sea can were the police that canvassed that area, and they're huge community supporters for the association.
So good.
So they're one guy was like legit no experience.
Yeah.
The other lady, she was really interested in just doodling. And so it was really fascinating. You know, it was sort of 11 a.m. start and no one was there yet, getting set up. And the one guy, he grabbed a very large paintbrush and the boldest red paint that I had supplied.
Wow.
Right? Like that's bold. Yeah. Just there. That's your creative expression.
No kidding.
So he
struck
it large. He went tall and he like slashed down and kind of wiggled through because it's a waffly surface, which makes it even more intimidating, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
And so he struck it all the way down and it was like a 5-foot mark.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And then he walked away and it was like mic drop.
Like just like that, eh?
Yeah. And his partner's like, so that's all you got? And he's like, well, look at that. She said, make a mark. And I did. Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So no parameters, really.
No parameters.
It's like you don't have to draw a sunset or it's just make your mark.
And so like my control freak, because like I'm a recovering sort of addict of control.
Yeah.
This project is almost like, you know, it's dual purpose because I need to let go of constraining your creativity, even though I stand for you to like bust through the box of your creativity.
Oh my God. It's gotta be so stressful though, like not knowing how it's going to end up.
So stressed. And I could see and hear coachable words throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's looking good. And then some of the people that actually hired me or said yes to this, they were like, so
it's gonna be better, right?
Yeah. Do you think you'll add some white or black marks? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, right?
Well,
because the idea is to let it flow throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then whatever, like I've done these so many times that and so many different, like I've never done the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And of course it never turns out the same way.
Because it's sort of like performance art as well as installation, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And so from small little pieces to large pieces to like 1 hour to all day, like it and there's no right recipe for it. So at the end of the day, I think I had it planned from 11 till 6. And I had part of my pitch to the city for my funding was that I would hire people from the neighborhood that were interested in pursuing a career in arts, performative arts, project management, just someone that could use some mentoring through that. So I ended up finding 2 young girls that they work for Fuse 33 Makerspace.
Okay.
Or one does actually, and the other one is her friend. So that is in Forest Lawn, Radisson Heights as well.
Yeah.
A really cool community. And so this young girl, she's boss, right? Uh-huh. She knows all the things. So I hired her and this girl, and then they brought all their girlfriends at the end of the day. And they were like tweaking and finishing and putting second coats on.
Oh,
and
wow.
There was, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of them. And there was just like ants all over there. And I was like, you know, dying on the ground because it was super hot and just enjoying watching these ladies, you know, do their thing.
Wow.
So at the end of that, I've probably spent a week out there since then, just applying second, third, fourth coats to some of the colors that need some boldening of color.
Yeah.
And then and then sort of homogenizing is the word I like to use, just sort of pulling it together, maybe quietening down some areas that were a bit rough only because they got one coat and it's a very individual kind of mark.
Right. Okay.
And then, you know, sort of deciding like aesthetically, compositionally, what can we do to kind of tighten this? Because it's going to be in their neighborhood for, you know, at least 5 years is the minimum the city gives you.
Yeah. Well, so you like you make it cohesive.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just left up to this ragtag bunch of artists and non-artists who show up to leave their mark. Yeah. You tie it all together. Yeah. Honoring their mark that they've made.
Totally. Nice words.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 1 second here and just close this.
And was that a bird that?
There's a pigeon like staring at me, right? So and I'm going to leave this part in, but we're in studio 415 at C Space and I've got this skylight and got construction next door. And when you're telling your story, this pigeon, obviously very interested in what you had to say, landed on the right on the window there and was staring in. It was hilarious.
So check out my business card.
Oh my God.
Right. So
you got a thing with birds.
I got a thing for birds. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they know you're here.
Yeah. Yeah. I like them. They're quirky. They're stupid. They're smart.
Yeah. All of the above. I have a huge thing for ravens and magpies.
Oh yeah.
Like I just love them. They're such characters.
They're so cool.
Okay. Anyway, so sorry for the distraction, but that is really cool. Now you do this. So you did this for the community association. And I got to see it sort of firsthand as you were building it. Which is really cool.
Yeah.
But you do this for corporations. You do this for parties, right? Like, tell me the sort of shape of this thing and what sort of trouble you've gotten into.
Yeah. So I was a resident of C-Space. It's inception. Yeah. And I had this studio on the first floor, and it was the corner suite, and it was boss. And my dream vision was that I would invite, all walks of life into the studio and just have this collaborative sort of studio space where I might mentor other artists into, a facilitator workshop kind of career, or bring in any kind of walk of life that came through C-Space's doors. And so that evolved over the 3 years I was here. And one thing that I kind of learned was, the hustle of being an artist and entrepreneur. Yeah. I needed to get bigger with the energy I was putting out. So make like not one person in my studio at a time, but 20 or 100 or whatever it was. Right. Yeah. So I started leaving the studio walls to facilitate bigger workshops and the collaborative art events that you speak of. So, I was doing like small sort of, not very often kid parties, but I could do a kid party. Sure, I could do an adult or a team building event, and just pivoting my expertise to bigger events like a corporation, right? Yeah. And the value there of bringing creative thinking to a corporation was really interesting to me as well. Yeah, yeah. My back history was working in the corporate world. Yeah. So I knew where sort of the stumbling blocks are of team. I know where the juggernaut of, hierarchy is. And so with the collaborative events and or team building, it's all the same play. It's put you, the person that doesn't define themselves as an artist, in a room of creativity. And it's the great equalizer, right? Yeah. Joe Blow with his boss, the president of his company, and right. Yeah. So anyways, I kind of went on a tangent there to that's great. Yeah. Answer your question. Man. But yeah, that's sort of the storyline that got me to doing the mural last week.
Interesting. Right? Yeah. So let's take a step back. And how did you end up doing this stuff? Like, who are you and where did you come from and what the hell is going on? Yeah. Yeah. Like what drove you to this, or what, how does that all work?
Yeah. Well, that's like a great question and a very big question for me. Yeah. Right. So we'll start at the beginning.
Yep. Perfect place.
Okay, good. So I was a kid who was the youngest of three, two boys, always wanting to sort of be a part of the group. Yeah. And always wanting to catch up and sort of the tomboy kid and rough and tumble. And I liked creativity. Yeah. Everyone in my sort of surroundings was really creative. There was like the grandmas that did this and that, the baking, the sewing, the things. So I was always interested. And I don't know that we called them artists in that day in the 70s, right? Because they were makers, they were doers, sure. Right? They were just being, and they did these other things. Yeah. And then I also went to Waldorf.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So my parents were really into the 70s esoteric thing. Yeah. And so there was is this sort of current of exploration and very much isolation. Yeah. With the way they parented. And so in Waldorf, you weren't called an artist either. Yeah. You were just creative through the day. Yeah. So every lesson was sort of like there was a form of creativity, whether it was movement or form drawing. There's all these things that Waldorf does. And so, the big question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know that it was an artist. I think I might have said like, I don't know. I remember there was things like lawyer or, jobs. And when I got into public school, it was junior high school, and I tried art class because that seemed like a bridge, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was so not creative.
Isn't that weird? Way to go, public school.
Way to go. And it was so critical, and I kind of sucked.
Wow.
Right. And so I was like, it was a really hard moment in my life to come out of Waldorf. My parents divorced, all the upheaval in junior high. And now I'm in a public school by myself. My brothers weren't around anymore.
No.
So it was really crazy. And so this like place I was supposed to find comfort in, I got criticized and I wasn't good enough.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
In junior high, grade 8, 9 art. And then I went to high school. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my time. I'm going to go to the big fancy art school.
Yeah.
Or like high school, and like the art class and art room seemed really cool there. And I think I started kind of feeling okay with where I was going, but I still wasn't sort of diving in and feeling confident in my art skill.
Okay.
And then like this piece of mine, this is like, holy. It's like, is this counseling? I'm on the couch. The art teacher ended up really stealing a piece of my art.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was just like, as a kid, you're 16 and you're kind of like, F the world and, like all the things, rebel.
Yeah.
Oh, and right.
All ties together.
Right. And so I was like, where is that piece of art that was on, on whatever show in their main rooms? And I never got it back. And I can still like to this day, like, I'm connected to that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I left high school and I didn't go to art school or anything after that. And all I knew is I wanted to be someone that connected creativity with wellness.
Amazing.
I was 19, right? And I'm 47 now.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so I tried finding ways to do that. And I just was really rebelling against the institution, because that's what you do when you're 19 and you're on your own. And I was still even more on my own because of the trauma in my life with my family. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just worked. So I found jobs that I could do really well, like project managing and catering and bartending. And I got into sort of the music industry, and I did all these things and graphic design. So I was doing all these things, trying to find that creative mojo to connect, still struggling through to find that connection. And I didn't.
Huh.
Right. And so I ended up getting into corporate work because it paid better. And one day I got really sick, and I didn't know what to do with myself physically.
Wow.
And so it was a journey of getting diagnosed, and I ended up getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so in my case, it was colitis and celiac. And so there's like upper GI and lower GI. So I was a hot mess of sickness. And the reason I bring that up is because then work seemed more important to find security.
Right.
As a young lady with sort of zero education and not married and no plans for that at that point, except for this guy that seemed to be my steady Eddie, who I eventually married. Right.
Hey.
Yeah. But in that sickness travel, it was like, stay the course with these corporate jobs and try to find your creative edge to kind of satisfy that hunger that I had internally.
Right.
And that was sort of enough.
Yeah.
But obviously isn't doing art, and it isn't doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So I did that from about, my mid-20s to my late 30s. And I was sicker and sicker with each year, and medicine wasn't treating my problems. And, I tried everything, and I was even a guinea pig for test drugs.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been brutal.
Yeah.
Like not knowing and waiting to see if things worked out or didn't work out. Like,
yeah. Cause you're on placebo or you're not placebo. It's a bit of a head game.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. So I did all those things, and that's like a whole podcast on its own.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And So I was 37. My dad died of a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
Pretty stressful time in our lives. And I couldn't get well.
Right.
And I just kept landsliding and I ended up in the hospital, and it wasn't my first time, but I just could not get better. I was getting worse in the hospital with all the treatments they were giving me.
Oh my God.
So it came to the bedside conversations with the doctors and they said, you need surgery.
Oh,
You have no more options. And again, this was like a huge pivotal moment in my life because I was 37. I just wanted a life. I just wanted to live, right? I just want to be healthy.
Yeah.
So I submitted to the surgery, which was what they call an ostomy. That's what I have now, an ostomy. And so it's a bit of a life changer. It changes a lot of things. But the long and short of that is that having that surgery, there was a mistake during the surgery.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up in ICU.
Oh my God.
And the pearly gates and I had a little conversation. And I got out of that, but it took me a good 2 years to kind of get strong.
Yeah.
And then it took me a few more years to get my head straight.
Right. What a journey. Holy.
Yeah. So during the pearly gate moment, I woke up in ICU and I looked at my husband, that steady Eddie. I just said, man, I cannot do life like that again.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do this again, I got to do it with creativity and joy, no more stress. I just remember saying those words like higher than the kite in ICU, but.
Oh my God. Clarity though, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like steel cut clarity. And basically I've used that to guide me since then. And so it's almost been 10 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you got there.
Thank you.
Because the work is so amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. And like, we're coming into the 10th year anniversary of that.
Wow.
This February.
Do you celebrate the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. The first year my husband made me a truck birthday cake for my 1 year birthday cake. Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Because I was the monster truck, just
Love
powering through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get her done.
Yeah. So again, like there's that's the sort of highlights of the lowlights, and but really, the trajectory of my life has been because of all those things I just sort of hit on, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just the desire, the knowledge, the knowing, the fear,
the
trauma, holding back,
rebirth. Wow.
Yeah.
It gives me chills.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly. What are 5 things that people need to know? Could be from anything. Could be like, don't leave your tea bag in the cup too long.
Oh, no. Do that. That's the best. Yeah. I like really strong tea. 5 things people need to know.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think we need to know that we are all creative.
Yeah.
But just because your career says you're an accountant doesn't mean you can't be creative.
Right. A creative accountant.
Right. Don't hire that guy. I think we need to remember that we have a left and a right brain.
Right.
Right? There's like this thing about, and you're extrovert or introvert.
Right.
I don't know. I think we need to be less black and white. How's that?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gray zone is a good place to be. You have a right and a left brain and you use both of them at the same time, no matter what.
Yeah.
So don't lean into these catch-all phrases. I think that's my second point.
Like it.
Yeah. 3, have fun. Oh my God.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Laugh. I love it. I'm that person that is like so straight, so deep, so well-meaning.
Yeah.
And I forget sometimes to loosen up and just like let it go and have fun. But I'm also, I love to giggle and be silly and crack jokes when it's inappropriate.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So 4. Yeah. Do what you love. Do more of what you love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. 5. What is it going to be? Eat tacos. Right?
Yes.
Eat
Hell
tacos.
yes. Eat tacos. So I had tacos here at Aroma, which
I
are
haven't had
amazing.
that. Oh, wait, I have, but just when she hasn't been in that space.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. But you were mentioning a place in Forest Lawn that I need to go to. Let's give them a plug. Okay.
But I don't know how to say their name. It seems very straightforward. Bravo. Okay. But I don't know, like if it says it's Latin food. So if you said it with, there's like a thing on the O.
Oh, I think that's like an umlaut or whatever, like a still O.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it Brava? No. No.
I don't
Bravo.
So.
Okay. So it's Bravo on 17th Ave and I think about 35th Street.
All right.
And they make Latin street food. And so I think they're not saying they're Mexican and all that things because it's Latin America, right? So they have got like a Venezuelan and so
very cool.
El Salvadorian.
Yeah. So one thing that I love about Calgary, especially northeast, southeast, like that sort of strip in
Quad,
there.
Yeah.
The food there is unbelievable because it's from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Ethiopian restaurants aplenty and restaurant / groceries.
Yeah.
So like, again, it's really neat. And like every day when I leave my neighborhood, I'm like right there where the restaurant strip is.
Yeah.
And there is a meat delivery truck that always has like just these huge carcasses hanging. I actually don't know if they're a pig or a cow. I'm guessing they're probably pigs, but
wow.
I love it. I just think it's hello reality, right?
Forget the suburbs when you can't even find your way out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know,
food comes in a semi.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my god. So are you? You're obviously an artist. Do you paint for yourself? Like, do you ever just create for yourself?
Yeah, do I? Every time I pivot what I'm doing in my career, it's so that I can get back to that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think because I've got such a diverse background, like marketing, graphic design, and all these things that I can start building a castle quite quickly on an idea. And then, I'm in this for me too. I'm in this for my creative process, my practice and all the things.
Right.
So part of the reason I stepped away from my studio at C Space was the castle became everybody else, doing lots of workshops and mentoring lots of other like being a space, a hub for other things to happen, and less of me was happening. Right.
Yeah.
And I was just burning out. Like I was really successful, but I was burning out. And sad side story. My mom was dying.
Oh no. So
I was taking care of my mom last year and into this year and then managing her estate because she did die.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The good news, bad news is that my parents have both died now.
Yeah.
And I'm a young person and I can kind of focus back on the me.
Right.
You know, it's painful but kind of grateful. Like, you know, I got this big chapter of me ahead of me again.
Yeah.
Right. So the me time and creativity, it's been really cool that in the last couple of weeks and months, a lot of the opportunities are providing some time for me to make art for me doing art for, I actually talked to Dieter recently here at C Space. And so I'm going to be doing a mural in my old studio.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked.
Right. So that's a huge, 20-foot, 16-foot wall of me. So
wow.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on what it's like to do art again.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Do you read? Are you a reader or?
Oh, well, I used to read a ton. And then that anxiety thing crept in from that whole surgery thing. Yeah. And I found it really hard to be quiet.
Oh, okay.
With my thoughts because I had such PTSD.
Sure.
And so and then the whole digital age happened, right?
Yeah.
And my attention span and all the things. And so, side note, that's why that thing that I do with creativity is so important because it helps to quieten all that anxiety. And so that's like a huge passion of mine to teach others. I've been doing a lot of mindful mark making workshops, just teaching people how to connect with self and be able to hear the noise and then filter it and then dispel it through your creative process. So in January this year, I read a book, right?
Okay.
I can't tell you what it was, but it was really exciting. because I read a book. We went to Mexico, and I sat on a deck chair and I read.
Yeah.
And then I came home and I was like, I'm going to do this more often because I've got this like renewed purpose of reading and knowing that I can do it again.
Yeah.
And then like the phone rang and it was my mom's doctors and my mom's health went down the tubes again. And so I haven't got back to that new habit, but I plan on doing it. But there's the audiobooks.
Right.
Right. So I've read some books. I've heard some books.
Yeah.
And my big plug is The Gifts of Imperfection. Because I'm going to I know you're going to ask me what books I like to read.
Yeah.
And that's by Brene Brown.
Okay. I've never read it.
It was a life changer for me.
Really?
And it came out 10 years ago.
The Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah.
It came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. And then if you hear her life.
Universe.
oh, yeah. The universe. Okay. I love this. So I love to garden.
Yeah.
And that was like my therapy, my physical therapy, my emotional therapy after, all the sickness that I was having. I'd always be in the garden, just like throwing a shovel in the ground and really kicking some dirt and sweating and falling on the ground. And just, it's like permission to just like, and feel the earth.
Yeah.
I love it. So I don't remember exactly how, but somehow I stumbled on, podcasts at the time were kind of
pretty
a burgeoning
new
thing.
Yeah.
And I stumbled on an interview with her or a YouTube. Oh, it was TED Talks. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
So she had this little TED Talk and she actually thought it wasn't going to go anywhere. And she was like horrified and mortified by her vulnerability and being herself on stage, sharing what was in The Gifts of Imperfection later to be. And I heard that and I remember exactly where I was in my garden and I fell to the ground sobbing because I was like, she knows me.
Wow.
And it was like this like direct line to my heart and my spirit. And I was just like, it came during this horrible time in my life where I was really rebirthing.
Yeah.
And letting go of that crusty old shell and all its pains. Wow. And I heard all these words from her and I just was like, wow, okay, she's giving me something I I already know.
Yeah.
But by knowing somebody else is speaking it just gave me such validation, such purpose.
Yeah. And permission to
be and continue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan,
will you read it?
I will. Okay. And I'll put also the link to the TED Talk in the show notes. All the things that we talk about and your stuff and your social stuff and your website, we'll put it all in the show notes. So check out the show notes so you can learn more about Paula. I'm curious about the checkered flag tattoo on your shoulder.
Good. All right. It says hit to pass.
Uh-huh.
So me and that steady Eddie, part of our like journey. Well, say I grew up in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And then around the Edmonton area, there was lots of racetracks.
Right. Okay.
Right. And we're getting one in Calgary. Finally again.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that because it was our fun pastime. It's like adrenaline, ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Fun to go to a dirt track and see the rally car races. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the, I don't know what they call them, but one of the categories is called hit to pass.
Okay.
And the claimer class division is the one to see if you ever get the chance, because at the time, it was like, I think the max value of your car could be $200. Right. So, it's the one that has like, the muffler's hanging on the ground and there's like a quarter panel missing because it's just been through everything else at the dirt track.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that you go around the track and to pass, you have to like tap, right?
Oh.
So at the beginning, it's all cordially and gentlemanly and all the things. And then, people start going and, slamming them. And so that's just funny to watch, right?
Yeah.
I just like to see people get slammed, obviously. I don't know why.
Totally.
And then like the guy, he's facing the wrong direction on the track. He's just got the car started. He gets hit. It puts him in the right direction. And you're like, yeah, the guy, he's going. And then he gets going and then he gets hit again and he just gets taken out of the game. You're like, no. And he's like, and he's trying to start the car.
And cheering for him.
Yeah. And then like the ambulance like type vehicle that is like a recovering ambulance. He comes around and he looks like he's going to take the game. Anyways, it's always about like the last man standing, getting down further, but then getting up.
Wow.
And then winning the game.
Hilarious.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there might be a theme there in my life.
Huh.
Right. So when I was in ICU, and my husband was shading my eyes from the bright lights of ICU, even though I was in a coma.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah.
Love this guy.
Yeah, he's. Oh. So yeah, he said when I woke up, he's like, "Hit to pass, baby." Right.
Love it.
So tap me on my shoulder, kind of thing, and
yeah.
So up to that point, neither of us had any tattoos, but kind of had talked about it, and
yeah.
But I was too chicken. I had this cute little body, and I was really, you know,
precious about it.
I was so perfect word. Yeah. And then I came out of ICU and I had some battle scars. I looked like one of those vehicles on the track.
$200.
I was $200. And so I was like, yeah, that's the first tattoo I'm going to get.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Actually, I think it was the one on my back. It was a little ode to my husband and I. So it's a classic dancer couple, like from the sort of Victorian age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And holy, I love it. I had no idea what I was getting into.
That's right. And then this one's True Love.
Oh, with the swallow.
With the swallow. And it was our 10-year anniversary, that one. Montreal.
Love it. And the rose.
And this is my PTSD rose.
Oh.
So I got this by myself. I got all the other ones with Dave.
Yeah.
And then I was off work for quite a while, and I was obsessed with some tattoo work I was seeing, and I love drawing flowers and that connection to earth and the grounding of what I sow and all the things. And so I was like, I should get some. The next tattoo should be a flower, and so I was designing it. And then the guy that I really liked this piece that I got, he said, "Oh, I've got a free spot today. Come on down." So I did, right? And I was sitting there. And the backstory is that I was in my PTSD trauma therapy for I don't even know how long at that point. And I was in a lot of physical recovery therapy programs to get my body back into shape. So I hit the wall of pain. I just I have a high pain threshold. And as a chronic health person, I think you build that thick skin. Yeah. But even stubbing my toe at that point just hit, I'd hit the floor. I couldn't handle the pain. I just couldn't handle pain anymore. So I had stopped, I think, all my therapies. I just said, I'm done. I don't want to I've just hit the threshold. I just need a break. And everyone's like, yeah. We get it. Right. And then I signed up for a tattoo. And it didn't strike me as funny until I was sitting in the waiting room for the tattoo. And I was looking around and I could see the nervous people, and I already had a few tattoos, and I was like, here I am. So I didn't tell Dave. I didn't go with him. I went on my own to experience pain. And I was like, oh, shoot. So I'm not afraid of pain. I'm not done with pain. I'm just done with that BS that I just experienced.
Oh,
and so I signed up for this, and the alarming thing is that this thing is so black, right?
Yeah, right.
It's heavy black. There's a lot of ink there.
I was looking at it, just packing it in there.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of scars from the way they packed it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
And it's funny because they kind of line with the line work of the flowers.
Yeah.
So that's
wow.
Whoops.
Those are great stories.
Thanks.
One of the favorite parts about this show, for me anyways, is, I love to find out what advice you have to give to others. So I call these people rebels in waiting.
Okay.
So the rebels in waiting are the people that are either, maybe they're experienced a sickness and they're about to be reborn, or maybe it's somebody who's stuck in that corporate job and they're just like, you know what, I need to feed my soul, or they're like an artist that's not making it and they need to figure out how to make it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be just artists. But
I was all those people.
What advice would you give to those people to help them out?
Gosh, I mean, besides just do it, right?
Yeah.
And breaking that down, it's like fear stops us from everything.
Yeah.
Like the fear of that pain that I thought stopped me from doing all those therapies.
Yeah.
but the joy of getting a tattoo that I really wanted, damn it, I went for it.
Right.
Because fear wasn't stopping me.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we're in those in waiting spots, it's the self-doubt, it's the stories, and like, just don't listen to your brain. Because sometimes, your heart has a bigger message, right?
Yeah.
And the nagging, the sleepless wishes, I lived that for 37.9 years.
Yeah.
And then I died a few times.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, if you believe in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Why would I not?
So, in my experience, fear, it's a great indicator of what to stay away from. But if you believe in that fear too much, then you are staying away from everything, and your disconnection and the lack of growth, all the things. So for those people in waiting, it's just like, hear the urge, follow the nudges, and you have no idea how much better your life can be.
Yeah.
When you sort of drop that cloak of that stopping you.
Wow.
Yeah. Community will support you to get there too. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, find a community.
Yeah.
That was some advice I got from somebody that was, not even in my community, but it was sort of an indirect gift that they had given me. They heard that I had this second coming of life, and I was looking for advice. How do I get an art career in Calgary? Right.
Yeah.
And the guy said, tell Paula these 5 things. She needs a website.
Yeah.
She needs a community.
Yeah.
Get involved.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, start teaching art classes.
Yeah.
And show your work.
Wow.
Right.
Damn. That's like, I got 2 5 things in this podcast.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
How?
Well, because your 5 things that you gave us earlier, and then these 5 things.
And then his 5.
Like, wow, this is like bonus episode.
Like you were getting something out of it.
Oh, I am.
Okay, good.
Like, oh my God.
What are your 5 things?
That's for another episode altogether. My God.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, go for it, man.
That's
right?
wicked.
Yeah.
Paula, this has been absolutely inspiring and amazing. And thank you so much for being on the show and sharing yourself with us.
Thanks for having this platform.
Hey, thanks for listening. You can listen to all of our episodes with links and show notes at therebelrebelpodcast.com and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Speaking of which, don't forget to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.